to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum TTRPG podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
And what a wonderful message to start our hello and welcomes there. Thank you, Dark.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, Remos. We're talking SCP-001s tonight. Got
Yes.
more of those.
Yes.
Last time I brought you 13.
Was is that how many?
Yeah, I've got the notes here,
Okay.
and a lot of them were short, so we were able to cover them. Now I'm bringing you 5.
I think because these were the longer ones. You just kind of summarized a lot of the shorter proposals.
Yeah, like the sheaf of papers and the Gate Guardian. There's maybe a couple paragraphs to talk about there, right?
Right. Okay.
The first one we're going to cover tonight is the last simple one.
Okay.
It's not simple per se, but it's the last of the simpler ones. So I don't think it'll take long.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the other ones we have tonight are...
So the chance we may not get this may go to the next month.
Yeah, it
Okay.
might.
Okay.
I also want to specify, I know when we cover mythology, normally we say that we're just taking like a little scoop out of it.
Yeah.
Even with these, with the level of detail that I've got, which is over 30 pages, it's still just a scoop because these have changed over time. So we're going chronologically through the 001 proposals, which means that the vast majority of them that we've covered so far are super old, like 20, it's going to hurt my soul to say it's super old, but like 2010, 2011, like they haven't changed since. The
Yeah.
stuff we're getting to now,
Yeah.
by the internet standards, was ancient, but has been updated throughout the years. So when I'm prepping for these, I read through the entire story.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And then while I'm typing my notes down, I listen to YouTubers talk about them.
Yeah,
See, hey,
sure.
did I miss anything? Or
Yeah.
it's
Definitely.
really funny to me on these to hear the stuff where the story ends for the YouTuber because it's been years since they covered it.
Oh, and
And
stuff been added to it.
Stuff's been added
Well,
to it.
it's open source mythology, so
Yeah.
that's can get kind of deep, I'm sure.
And I really like it when the original author adds stuff. So some of these have some additions the original authors have added in. I've tried to avoid stuff where other authors came in and add stuff because that stuff's really cool, but you can still check it out. Right, yeah. I did, in one in particular, for anybody that wants to see more stuff of this, the Ouroboros cycle, which we haven't even got to yet. It's going to be its whole own episode probably. SCP Explained has like an hour and a half long video on it, and that's the shortest video on it.
Okay.
And so I had them running, and a couple times I was like, well, I could just write down what they said verbatim here and it would still be right. And then I would go, wait, what did they say? And I'd have to go back and listen to the same chunk.
Yeah.
But I did reword it because I don't like just copying the homework, you know.
Plagiarizer.
Yeah. Gotta at least write it my own way.
Next year, running for Congress.
It's coming up. Coming up. So we're starting with SCP-001
Yes.
by Kate McTierris. It's a record is the name of this one, and its object class is Thaumiel, which means it has all the power, but it's been contained.
Okay.
So because another SCP or something like that has contained it.
Okay.
So just a real quick call out. McTierris, Kate McTierris, is the name of multiple different characters in the world because people liked this one so much. Sometimes it's the name of an 05 member, 05-2. Sometimes it's the name of a Dr. McTierris or Dr. Kate. So just, again, these people that were part of the original founding of SCP have kind of gone on to continue being and stuff later. So SCP-001 is a record that always winds up at the top spot no matter how it is filed or stored, including its number in the SCP database. It was originally found by a record company where it was on the top of the charts for 2 weeks straight, but nobody knew what song it was.
Okay.
And so eventually the SCP Foundation found out about it, they claimed it, and they filed it away. And yet again, filed away as SCP-00 whatever, it wound up in the number 1 spot again. So, I told you, go ahead, what you got?
Well, nothing. You would have to know. Okay. Just some point in time, you'll probably get upset if you do go through it. Just look at, you will never hear, you probably heard The Lion Sleeps Tonight, right? All that crap, right? Is horrible. I shouldn't even attempt it, right? The actual true story of that, and like, that's like a song. This actually like comes and goes over the years. It's had a couple of editions. There's been 2 songs I'm going to tell you about. This record reminds me of.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you to dig into this.
That's okay.
The actual story of Lion Sleeps Tonight, where that comes from.
Okay.
To that, and then the song, the Animals probably have the best known cover of it. House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Okay, that's in the public domain as far as I know. You can just play that. And
Okay.
Put it up. There's nobody can really claim it unless you do the Animals version, or
Right.
something like that. But I don't think anybody knows who wrote that song.
That's funny.
It's just everybody knows that song. Nobody knows who wrote it.
Right.
Onto that. That's what.
There you go. It's this song.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if it's the house. Which one of those 2?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards House of the Rising Sun.
Yeah, House of Rising Sun would make a lot of sense.
Okay.
But also, I should have specified this sooner. If you don't know what SCP is, Secure, Contain, Protect, it's a group mythology deep think, I guess, where people write their own stories and they get voted on by the community and get added into the canon. And there's a bunch of different canons and, So the 001 proposals are the different proposals for what would be the most important one.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different canons for those. And so in this canon, it's a record.
Yeah.
And so Mary Nakayama is a researcher that has put over SCP-001. Now, again, remember in this canon, SCP-001 is this record.
Right.
So she's supposed to experiment on it.
Is it the record or the song on the record?
It's the physical record itself. No matter how it's filed, it always winds up number 1.
Okay.
So you don't have to listen to the song. You don't have to play it. She does try that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do any of that. It always winds up at number 1. So in her course of her experiments, where she did try listening to it and a couple different things, she couldn't find anything else that was really anomalous about it. But in the data entry for it on the website, on the database for the Foundation, she fixed a typo that shouldn't have been there before, and suddenly where it was stored was different. Creepypasta's following a vague continuity that people who don't know how to make a story like, yeah, exactly. There's some really good ones on there, and then people ruin them.
Yeah.
So she notices this is weird, so she tries testing this, and she adds a line into the entry that says that all level 2 personnel at Site 91 would give her $5 if able. The next day, at lunch, which is what she specified, everybody that can gives her $5. Realizing that this is the true anomalous property of this record, is that anything written about it is true.
That's terrifying.
She gives herself a new nameplate. Her nameplate on her desk changes to green.
Okay.
And then she writes in that she gets a paid vacation, which she takes and has a good time as far as I know.
Yeah.
When she comes back from her paid vacation, she writes in a new line that makes her Dr. Nakayama instead of just a researcher and co-site director of the site.
Might as well.
Right. 1 month later, she edits the entry to read, and I'm going to read this one verbatim.
Okay.
Mary Nakayama, immediately after the saving of this document, will obtain omnipotence and omniscience, rising to and becoming Godhead. She will span all time and have complete dominion over this universe and this reality. Everything under everything, and everything over everything will be at her command. She will gain all necessary mental faculties to process and utilize these abilities while maintaining uninterrupted consciousness. Members of the O5 Council will receive a note indicating the nature of SCP-001. Her family will receive a note indicating her love for them. After which, Mary Nakayama disappeared from her quarters at Site 91 before 6 a.m. She has not been located since. She vanished. I have the letter to the O5 Council for you here.
Okay.
Because she made herself a god.
Right.
And the letter to the O5 Council says, when I was 15, I took enough pills to kill someone 4 times my size, downed an entire bottle of cheap vodka that was the only thing I had left from the man who used me and left me broken and alone. I sat in my shower with the hot water scalding me. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was dry. I was well. I was in bed. At the door, a shining figure, a radiant light, hovered. It spoke to me with a voice that echoed in my mind. It said I had greater things to do. I never saw it again, but I kept going. I believed that God descended and saved me. And joining the Foundation, how could I not believe? What else could explain the fact that we were still here, still marvelously, desperately, screamingly alive? How else could the fabric of our world, our everything, withstand such things that we behold every day? Something was protecting us. I prayed to it every night for guidance. I never heard its voice again. I had been touched by God once, and that was a lifetime of fortune in one moment. But when I changed the color of the nameplate on my desk just by hitting save on a text file, I realized something. The fabric of all things was open to me. I could put this power away, show you, conceal it. But what if this was what saved me? What if this was what saves us all, every day, from the abyssal terrors that rip and rend at our world's fragile stability? What if me hitting save on a text file was the birth of God? If it's not, then I tried. If it is, then I'm watching. I will try to steer things right. It'll take time. Wish me luck. That's the whole thing. That's the record.
All right. I don't know. You make a wish like that, do you... I think you make a desire like that, you're expecting to have some form of self as you are on the
on the other side of
that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you would.
Right. Well, and she asked to have the mental faculties to be able to process it, but I don't know that even processing it's enough, right?
Well, not only that, even if you do, it's like, oh, yeah, I am. Yeah. That little thing that I was.
Yeah. Why would that matter anymore?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird one. It's one that a lot of people really like because they really like the twist. I don't mind the twist, but it's not one of my favorites, right?
No.
But oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a nice little self-contained world there, though, that it sets up.
The next one is one that I kind of didn't care about when I first heard about it,
Okay.
but have come to love, and it is now my second favorite 001 proposal. And this is Kalinen's proposal, Past and Future. And it is object class Keter. It's a problem. We can't fully contain it. What do we do?
Watch it.
And that's what we can do, right?
Okay.
So SCP-001 is watching. I am a Gundam. Yeah, that's
Right.
I mean, that's the right call.
I am a Gundam.
Nobody could stop you then. What are they going to use? Planes? SCP-001 is watching.
Okay.
SCP-001 is an entity of unknown scale capable of creating anomalous phenomena with no known limit. In an attempt to shield the Earth from SCP-001, SCP-2798 was created through the use of other SCPs, masking the Earth in a protective screen, which worked for a period of time, but has failed. So this was an oil rig that was created using anomalous means, using other SCPs to be able to cast out a magnetic illusion, basically, to protect the Earth, so SCP-001 couldn't see it. With the failure of 2798, O5-2, in this universe called Kate McTierris, tries desperately to find a way to stop it, going as far as speaking to SCP-411. I am a Gundam indeed. SCP-411 will get into the... Two different people, huh? Yeah. I don't blame you. SCP-411 is a old man that ages in reverse, so he ages down. There's third. 3 people redeemed it. Can we get 4?
So he's Benjamin Button?
Right.
Okay.
And from speaking with him, I thought about adding the whole thing, but it's really long, and there's other stuff that I think is more important to read.
Okay.
But SCP-411 mentions the planet of hands and how eventually we'll return there. When we get to 411 in the regular scale, I'll probably read that then.
Okay.
Because, you know, hey, that's 411's thing. But from speaking to SCP-411, she then uses some other SCPs to try and see the future, and is able to see a utopia that is wonderful and beautiful, and hopefully means that mankind can survive this somehow, right?
Right, yeah. Either that or mankind's gone, and that's why everything looks so beautiful and pristine.
Right. The O5 Council takes a vote when 2798 fails, the oil rig, on whether or not to proceed with contingency plan 2798-5. 2798-5 is a mass amnestic that will kill everyone on Earth.
That's not really an amnestic, then.
No,
It?
it's gone beyond that. You'll forget how to breathe is how it kills you. I do that every day.
Breathe in, breathe out.
You are now breathing manually. This is how the vote went down for 2798-5. In approval of 05-3, 05-4, 05-7, 05-9, 05-10, and 05-11. Against 05-2, 05-5, 05-8, 05-13, and abstaining 05-1, 05-6, and 05-12, which means the motion fails.
Oh, okay.
Anybody that knows SCP knows each of those individually are characters of their own.
Right.
So that gives you an idea of like who was willing to just kill everybody for the sake of not letting everyone suffer under SCP-001.
Gotcha.
And when you read that 054 is willing to kill all of humanity, it's like, oh, okay, this is a serious threat.
Either that or he's a psychopath.
Right.
Okay.
053 is positive that 052 held the vote back, that she had told others that she's seen the future, and that's why they voted against.
Yeah.
Honestly, why wouldn't you tell others that you saw a future where humanity survived? 053 needs to just calm down. But 052 holds on to her visions and believes that at least some aspect of humanity will be able to survive this.
Okay.
Then things get very, very bad really quickly. As SCP-001 can now see Earth, and we shall see, and begins to augment SCPs, making them stronger than before. I've got a list here of some of these, and I thought it might be fun to run through some of them. But SCP-1000, which is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And the Bigfoot tribe, they take over Blaylock, Oregon in a violent coup. Suddenly they're much faster, much stronger. SCP-058 is a heart with legs and barbed stalks from some large creature that's unknown. The augmentation for it is that the creature comes to get it.
Okay.
To reclaim its heart. Not super great. SCPs all over start breaking free of containment.
Okay.
For instance, don't think sounds are coming through on your end? That's not good.
What?
That's not good. We're definitely hearing them here.
Yeah.
Rest of chat, are you hearing them? SCP-087 is the unending stairwell that we talked about originally. Now it's at the Pentagon, and the ghost can leave. So that's a problem. We have things like, I'm not trying to grab too many of these here, but SCP-294, which is the coffee machine we talked about. You're hearing them through the speakers. Okay, so everybody else is getting to hear them at least. That's good.
All right.
I don't know why it's not coming for you, Waverly, but...
Yeah.
Now, instead of just producing coffee, it produces any beverage currently produced by the Coca-Cola Company or its subsidiaries. Blame this on the misfortune of your birth. Regardless of input, if you ask for something that's not a Coca-Cola product, Coca-Cola's stock will drop.
Okay.
So that's a weird augmentation. Cheeseburger jar.
Just low. Okay.
Let me find one more good one here, because I have a whole list, but I don't want to bog us down too long in these, because it's not the main point of it. It's just SCPs are getting stronger. You know?
I was perfectly happy with it just making coffee.
Right.
You got a thing.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, here's a good one. There's an SCP that is a literal portal to hell.
Okay.
Now it's just open all the time.
Might as well be.
So that's wonderful. However, that is far from the biggest problem. I want to read a couple of these things for you here. It's really hard to sing this and read at the same time. All staff are instructed to stop thinking about squids or octopi immediately. Staff overseeing cephalopod-like SCP objects are instructed to destroy them as soon as possible. This message has been transmitted in a grade B subconscious suggestibility modality cognitohazard. Staff recalling the entirety of this message are ordered to seek amnestic treatment immediately. Do not think about octopi or squids.
You mention it twice. I can't not think about it. You can't mention it. Well, I don't know what.
Assumedly, that would be a squid SCP that is now suddenly much worse.
Yeah, I'm set.
How much longer I got on this? I really want to read this part without having to sing it.
Wait, yeah, I don't know. You're supposed to time it. I was going to ask. You look over there.
Yeah.
Then you got like 2 minutes left.
Oh boy.
Octopi is not grammatically correct.
I believe that's true.
Ad starts in 8, 7, 6, 5 more seconds.
Can I wait out the ad?
I don't think some people should lose out spending points.
Okay. So, the following moment, the next big event.
No. Hold on. What I was saying is we should give it a second, make sure the ad's over with so they don't take a break on that. You got 2 minutes left. We'll keep up with the time. Somebody might just side ad. I don't want anybody losing out on their points and not hearing your voice.
I thought you were on my side.
No, if I have to suffer through this, they have to suffer through this as well.
It looks like the ad didn't start yet, so I guess we'll just continue.
All right, fine. Keep going then.
So, following the SCPs all getting super augmented, multiple sites are lost instantly. Reality warpers can now warp other realities into ours. The machine god is loose. The deer god is loose. It's a problem. I don't think it does.
We shall see.
Now the ad's going, so.
Okay. So you got 1 minute. Catch your breath. It says we got an ad. See, there we go. Got ads. Through there. They got it right.
We're making better time than I thought we would, but also we're about to hit when day breaks and things are going to slow down because I basically have to read that one verbatim.
Okay.
Because it's a story.
Yeah.
So.
We like a story. It's all good.
Right.
Dear God. I don't think it does.
Don't think it does.
Yeah, for a comment.
Oh, yeah.
I got 10 seconds, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Go.
Watch out, bearded man.
All right.
So, the next major event that happens after a brief period of O5 council members dying and trying to contain the problem is that huge creatures, holograms, watch out indeed, holograms appear on top of multiple large centers of the earth.
Okay.
And this happens.
It's content.
5 large figures appear.
Yes.
One of them says, I hope that I'm not being improper when I say that I'm scared. They're huge, by the way. Let me make sure I clarify that. They are huge, by the way.
Okay.
The next one says, we're all scared, Proteus. This is the day that our cohort has been preparing for our entire lives.
Okay.
The next one says, 3 of us will be chosen. Have we made enough of our time here? Will it comfort us if we're cast outside? Just look at the things we've done together. We've mapped an unknown star system.
There you go.
Oh, thank goodness. Wrote a song. This is actually like legit horrifying.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Just look at the things we've done together. We've mapped an unknown star system, wrote a song that made us heroes of the summer convocation, scaled the shadow pass of the mountain of ice. I tell you, Proteus, if they cast me out today, I can say that no matter what comes after, it was all worth it. And then Proteus says, I hope to be as brave as you are when I enter the chamber. One called Monashir says, all accept what they're given in the threshold. Melita says, how could it be otherwise? And Agus says, how could it be otherwise? So one of the things that because again, we're just scooping in here, is that 05-2 is still alive at this point.
Yeah.
And she's desperately trying to stop 001. There is an entity called SCP-090 that can show you things in dreams.
Okay.
And she winds up talking to him, and he shows her that they're coming for your hands. And if you remember, SCP-411 mentioned the planet of hands.
Yes.
So Earth is in bad shape right now. People are panicking. 05-2 is desperately trying to hold things together. A lot of the other 05 members are dead. And she gets another dream. And in this dream, she sees her son.
Okay.
But her son died when he was 3 years old.
Oh.
And he now is speaking to her in the voice of a man and telling her how much they miss her. How much they miss all of humans. How long ago the humans left them, and they've been sad ever since, and now the planet of hands is empty.
Okay.
How they just need them to come back.
Okay.
So, Act 2 begins of this play that is being played out, this hologram, right?
Right.
05-2 wishes she was dead, by the way, just to clarify. Yeah. After that, she's absolutely broken by her own child telling her to give up her hands. Now, the four are there, and a man has stepped up to them. And this man is wearing regal clothes. He's very important, right? Stately.
Yeah.
And he says, this set of four, born on this day, 35 years past, are you ready to enter? They say, we are, all four of them. The man says, do you see, as it has been intended, how even those cast into exile may have a taste of our beautiful world, and how those that remain have shared the shadow of death with those that must take their leave now? They all say, we do. He says, look then, out at this world. On this day, this is the threshold. This is the place where human society is made. It is here that the salvation of the few, so great in its perfection, so sacred in its magnificent beauty, is earned by the fate of the many. It is they who will make the ultimate sacrifice, and they who deserve our love and our honor most of all. Do you choose to pass the threshold of your own volition? They each say they do.
Okay.
He says, Melita Snowfall of the Shadow Peaks, step forward. She says, I stand ready. He says, you shall dwell on the planet of eyes. She says, I accept my duty. He says, Agus Skysail, third denizen of the Watch Cliffs, you shall be taken to the planet of skin. He says, I accept my duty, but he stumbles. Monashir Violet Light, the Lady of the Tower, I stand ready. You shall remain. Remember always the great love of your departed sisters and brothers, now and forevermore. I shall. She begins to weep. Proteus Hammersmith the Wayfinder, I stand ready. You are to come to the planet of hands. At this point, all of the nations are on high alert. They're blaming each other for this. Of course.
Yeah.
War gets declared, but there aren't many soldiers to fight because super SCPs have been roaming the earth.
Right.
All of the churches, synagogues for any religion believe that this is their apocalypse that's come.
I'm sure, yeah.
And they believe that these giant figures are their gods or angels or go down the list. At this point, it's not just a hologram. Now the sky above the hologram has changed, and there are 9 planets in the sky. The man and Proteus are the only ones that remain. The man says there's no sense in lingering. We all have our appointed places. Proteus says, but there's simply no sense in it. Our world is immense. Our use of its resources efficient and wise. Surely none of us must live in exile. The man says, problems of the far future become the problems of tomorrow for a race that has no end to its days.
Yeah.
Proteus says there must be a way to manage it. If all women and men live for as long as they care to, we must have no need for births. What purpose is the creation of life if it is to suffer? The man says, I've had this duty for a very long time. These are not new questions, and my answers are not new. Our kind ascended when we understood the true nature of ourselves. We must always be able to create new life. Our minds, subtly interconnected through the air and through the dreamscape, turn dark and destructive when the act of creation is taken from us. What of suffering? What of the cruelty that lives on our 9 moons? Suffering. Yes, there is suffering. It must be so. And we must know of it, taste of it, build our houses upon its foundations. As life preys on life, so does human enterprise need vast inputs of suffering. It binds us together. The knowledge that there are others that cannot have what we have built affects us deeply. It is a cornerstone in our souls. That is something we discovered a very long time ago. It's vital. And it was this discovery that paved the way to Heaven's Gate. As he says this, at every monument that they're at, a large gateway opens. And the man and Proteus stand before it.
Gotcha.
The man says, but cruelty, no, we do not. We do not do these things because we wish to cause pain. We do it for those that remain in the wondrous society that we have built. We have given beauty and truth without end to those that are chosen. If even one person may taste of the infinite good, is not that worth any amount of infinite suffering? But why must it be I who pays the price? Proteus asks. My friend, come with me. I will escort you. The next scene is them on the planet of Hands.
Okay.
A woman comes by. She has no hands. Proteus says, I don't understand. It looks like this has been on fire. There's buildings, rubble everywhere. The man says, there was a time when we were merely exiled those whose duty was to come here. We sent them away instead. They built their own societies in a fashion. They were driven by what they could not have, their slender hope twisted into a sort of vengeance upon their children at the center of this great constellation. They built great structures, vast ships, terrible weapons. The uprisings happened many, many millennia ago. The last conflict our humanity will ever have to face. Now it's a simple matter to ensure that this never happens again. No perverse hope to tempt anyone to foolish destruction. Proteus says, by taking away our hands. The man says, by taking away your hands. They see the woman. She comes up and she says, more people? I must be close to the blessed end. The man says, who are you? She says, I no longer have a name. We have no need for such things here. Proteus says, do you remember your home? She says, this is my home. He says, I mean the place you came from. She says, I remember a time when I wasn't starving, but that was long ago. It's difficult to recall. He says, would you like some food? She says, there's nothing to find. This place is ash and salt, but the hunger's a blessing. My mind feels clear, my being so light and clean. God speaks to me here. He tells me to lift my stumps to the blue light in the sky, and so I do. And I pray, and I'm filled with the knowledge that I am here for a purpose. I am suffused with happiness. This place makes you happy? Proteus asks. The last gift of the body before it evaporates is the divine revelation. I live in truth. I live without fear, without doubt. I dwell in the spirit that has made this place. This is a place of ecstasy. And she collapses into nothing. Proteus asks, how long was she here? The man says, a fortnight. Proteus says, she didn't seem to be suffering. The man says, the joy of martyrdom obliterates all suffering. Proteus says, I am ready. Proteus stands before the man, who now has a ceremonial blade in one hand and a torch in the other. He says, present your hands, Father of humanity. Proteus says, I stand ready. The man says, do you accept the gift of sacrifice for those brethren that shall remain in the light for all of time? He says, I do. The man begins to saw at his left wrist. Do you accept the gift of sacrifice for those, I already read that one, I'm sorry. Do you offer your suffering for the good of the whole, your exile for the benefit of the collective psyche of humanity? He says, I do. He finishes sawing through his left hand. Do you renounce the unstable reality of the universe outside of this system? Commit yourself to the preservation of sanity within the system of planets. Proteus says, I do. The man reaches the torch forward and cauterizes the wound. Proteus screams. He says, with the left hand, you accept your duty. With the right, our duty to you. He slices off Proteus's right hand. Proteus says, I thank you. The man says, we, the living, shall keep a society of perfect harmony, perfect justice, perfect beauty. We, the living, shall keep our human nature pure, living in the highest purpose that is possible for our forms. We, the living, shall transform your suffering into the most divine purpose imaginable. Proteus says, I'm honored beyond measure. The man says, in this holy pact we shall know love without measure or end. Go forth, Father, complete your journey. Proteus says, I accept my duty. He steps into the portal, and it begins to close. And all around the world, hundreds of thousands of people rush for the portal and the idea of peace.
Okay. I want it to pick up. I want him to go all Galvarino on the other side.
Right?
I have no hands. I'll tie blades here. Well, he kept his. I said he got to keep it. No, he sliced off the.
He lost both his hands.
He sawed through
one
left, and then
and cut off the other.
Cauterized it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is one final part to this story before I give you the full, quick explanation.
Okay.
Because I know some people are probably really confused.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It really is. There's another SCP, SCP-2303. And that SCP is a tower of failed ideas. And the farther up the tower you go, I didn't either when I first read it. It's why it wasn't even on my list before.
Right.
It's because I was like, well, this is just weird. But now I get it, having reread the whole thing again last night.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is great. But 2303 is a tower where failed ideas are, and the better the idea was, or the more fulfilled the idea was before it failed, the higher it is in the tower.
Okay.
Well, at the top of the tower, Monashir, the woman from the ceremony that was told she had to remain, she's at the top of the tower.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't know why she's there. The gateway is there. The last remaining gateway for humans to go from this world to the 9 planets.
Right.
And she doesn't understand why it's there. It's not a failed idea. It worked. The humans listened. So why is it there?
Yeah.
So there's a man who was the leader of Mobile Task Force Phi 9, the Barqueros, Aurelio Rojas. He's come back to the tower to finish this. He lost the love of his life in that tower. Instead of going through the doorway, she killed herself when she felt the pull of the door.
Yeah.
And she is now a spirit that is following him as he enters the building. He gets all the way up to the top floor.
Haunted by his ex.
Yeah.
This is the most terrifying thing you've said so far.
Right? He gets to the top floor. Monashir is up there. She attacks him because she's angry. She doesn't understand why she's still here.
Rest my case.
Right. As he's trying to stop her, as he's trying to fight her, he's not doing much to be able to stop her, right?
Right.
She is infinitely bigger than him, infinitely stronger than him. But as she's trying to torture him and kill him, Aurelio Rojas says something that cuts straight to her core, which is, you don't know why you're here, do you?
Yeah.
No, you've been here right here with us, trying to figure out how you ended up on the top floor, why the laws that govern this tower apply to you too, what the flaw in your system is that buried you along with all the other corpses, scratching and clawing at your coffin lid. I'll save you some trouble. You thought you banished death, but all you did was forget about her. You thought you enslaved madness, but you merely brought him into your house. And you think saving this tower from us will let you solve the one problem you can't figure out. But I've got the answer for you. You belong in here with us, and you'll never know why. You can't understand. Yeah. And so she stabs him.
Yeah.
Straight in the heart. When his heart stops beating, it triggers the dead man switch that he installed.
Yeah.
And he explodes, destroying the tower, destroying the gateway, destroying Monashir. Humanity's in a bad place. The world's wrecked.
Right.
But at least they're free of 001 now.
I guess so.
So, the explanation.
All right.
SCP-001 is a set of 9 planets where humanity is tempted with the idea of you can live in the single perfect planet. Or you might be chosen to live in one of the other planets. It's fair except it's not fair.
Yeah.
Humanity a long time ago they were the people that lived on the planet of hands. They were the ones that rebelled against this other alien species.
Right.
They were the ones that couldn't make it and couldn't win trying to kill them, and so they escaped.
Yeah. Okay.
They want them back for the planet of hands because their society survives by every other group lives on a different planet. The planet of skin, they flay you alive.
That doesn't sound cool.
No. The planet of eyes, they take your eyes out.
I like my eyes.
Right. I like my hands.
They're kind of expensive to replace, though.
Right. And so the whole point is that this alien race that is partially human as well, they're from the same progenitor that humanity came from in this canon, wants us back so that they can live in their ivory tower and look down on us. And we're not strong enough to stop them.
Elitism means nothing without the pores.
Exactly. That's why the system's made that way.
Yes.
And that's why it's my favorite, is because it's our second favorite. I love Memento Mori, or the Black Moon the most, not Memento Mori. But it's this idea of, hey, we only exist to be their plaything. And there's nothing we can do to stop them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the slow reveal as you go through each of the different like super SCPs. Mm-hmm. You go through all the dreams, all the paradises that she saw, that 052 saw. Mm-hmm. That was a real paradise she saw.
Yeah.
And some humans got to go there.
Yeah, it's a very elite club and you're not in it.
Right.
Neither am I.
And so it just, I love that one.
Yeah.
So I know that one took a while. Just escape again.
Yeah, come on.
Or be like Aurelio and blow up the gateways.
That was okay. That's got that. I like that because it kind of got some deep, like philosophical, like ideas behind it. Mm-hmm. Like it's very Jungian.
Yeah, it for sure is.
With not necessarily mentioning shadow, but escape.
Yeah, if you can get away and they can't find you again, you're fine.
Right.
Just keep escaping.
Yeah.
But I really liked that some people just gave into it and were like, yeah, I don't care where you send me. I don't care what planet you send me to. For the chance that I'll get to be one of the few that goes to the pleasure planet,
right,
I'm going.
Right. Don't Google pleasure planet.
Right. I think that's so human, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I don't care what happens to everybody else. If there's a chance I can live in perfect paradise forever immortal, then I'll take it.
Yeah. Tempting.
But it's a 1 in 9 chance, and the other 8 options are you lose your eyes or your hands and you don't get to eat anymore. You lose your skin. And
much better chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah, that's true. It's 1 in 9. So that one took a while, but I knew it would because, like I said, they're all long at this point.
Yeah.
But I think we should have more than enough time to cover the next one because it's a little bit on the simple side, but there's a lot of reading to do. It is SCP-001, a consensus, and this one's written by Wrong.
Okay.
And its object class is Euclid. So it is containable.
Yeah.
Having said that, SCP-001 cannot be secured or contained and requires a reactive approach. And you'll see why. Yeah, we don't know for sure how it works. That's a very good point. We don't know how they select people. And Monashir, even though she remained, she didn't get to go to the pleasure planet.
Yeah.
She had to stay on Earth. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Pulling air out of my stomach instead out of my lungs. It's bad.
Maybe so.
Could be. So. The planet of hands was where we started, so it would make sense if that's where they wanted us back. And they called Proteus the father of humanity.
Yeah.
And then he's going to lead everybody else back there, I guess.
Possibly.
And it worked. So I told you it can't be secured or contained, but it is contained. And that's because a consensus, prevention and minimization of the conditions conducive to the possible occurrences of SCP-001 or its equivalent via Forbidden City Convention Chapter 1 is one avenue of containing it. Or management of organizational transition and unity following implementation of Forbidden City Convention Chapter 1 via Forbidden City Convention Chapters 2 and 3 is another option. And we'll get into what all that means. But basically, SCP-001 is a successful occurrence of a CK-class restructuring scenario, which generated the current reality by alterations to the previous iteration of reality.
Okay.
SCP-001 occurred on the 1st of June, 1900, and as such, all causes, events, references, and memories of Occult War I, or the Fifth Occult War, are omitted and replaced with anomalous and non-anomalous parallels. 13 individuals who have been designated as having partial SCP-001 immunity have given statements on the events of the Fifth Occult War listed below, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But this SCP is not a single place or thing. It is all of reality's been changed, and we're hiding that information from everyone.
Right.
We gave everybody across the world amnestics. 13 people remember partially.
Okay.
And we're hiding that information for reasons that we'll get into. Okay. So the first description that we have here from one of the 13 is a global war occurring throughout the 19th century Anno Domini, coalesced from 3 separate conflicts in Europe: the Napoleonic War, East Asia, the Davite Conquest, and North America, the American Civil War. It's also notable for the overt use of anomalous objects, leading to an IK-class global civilization collapse scenario. All of civilization was collapsing before they rewrote reality.
Okay.
What it's remembered as now, and this is one of my favorite things about this one, is that they show you in our version of reality, this is what people think happened. Conflict in northern China concurrent with the Boxer Rebellion, whereby members of the Brotherhood of Harmonious Fists allegedly utilized unnamed anomalous objects. So that would be the Global Occult Coalition, and that's all that people think happened was, hey, there was a group of monks that caused some trouble. When in reality, all of civilization almost fell apart. One person remembers the coronation of Napoleon I. After his coronation, Emperor Napoleon declared Neo-Gnosticism to be the state religion of France and Europa to be its patron deity.
Oh.
And what's remembered instead now is that Napoleon was crowned Emperor of the French in a ceremony presided by Pope Pius VII. No indication of Neo-Gnosticism or Europa worship is identified throughout Napoleon's regime.
No.
One person remembers the Davite conquest of East Asia. Most of East Asia was invaded by a civilization of humanoids called the Davites. Conquest began from the 3 northeastern provinces I'm so sorry, of the Qing dynasty.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
And what is known of instead is that the Davite civilizations were destroyed by the Mongols, and the Mongols did all that conquering.
They did do a lot in the history that I kind of know about.
Yeah, and you're going to see some parallels there.
Quite a bit of conquering.
Because that's you already figured it out, so I'll give you the big twist, but that's the reveal, is that the version that we're reading that they remember it as is our version of reality.
Yeah.
So the big twist is reality was changed.
Right.
In our world,
Yes.
The American Civil War, a civil war between the United States of America and the Confederate States of America. Both factions were supplied weaponry from the group named the Factory. The war gradually spread to Mexico and Central America following the relocation of the Confederate government. In that version of reality, Jeff Davis fled to Argentina and took over most of South America.
That's kind of funny because parallels to other areas in history and some of the stuff. Go ahead.
Also, then it was a true American Civil War because it was North and South America versus each other.
Yeah.
But obviously in our reality, that didn't happen. American Civil War did not escalate beyond the continental United States. The Thuggee Pacification Campaign.
Okay. An
initiative led by the 0th Anti-Cult Regiment to suppress the Thuggee, an organized gang known for harassing the Vatula, who were deemed to be co-belligerents with the British East Indian Company after Davite incursion into India.
Yeah. In
our reality, suppression mandated by the Thuggee and Dacoity Suppression Acts in the Neo-Sarkic involvement. So, Vatican Holy Office for Secrets and Prophecies was created in their version during Napoleon's invasion of the Italian peninsula. Okay. Where Napoleon took over the Vatican. in
Might as well.
that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
He would probably do that.
There's a really fun thing here, which is just like, that totally doesn't exist in our universe. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, the establishment of the Mexican Empire happened in the previous reality.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed as Sim Anahuac, a successor state of the Aztec Empire. Subjects of Sim Anahuac and media produced by them possess mimetic capabilities, which were used to subjugate neighboring states such as Texas, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras.
Okay.
Obviously, that didn't happen in our reality, and the Second Mexican Empire was established by French intervention and ruled by Emperor Maximilian I.
Okay.
The East Tennessee Convention, where pro-Union elements based in East Tennessee seceded from the state of Tennessee following the latter's involvement in the American Civil War. The resultant state of Franklin was admitted to the United States of America, and the only state in the Union to separate from a Confederate state.
Okay.
Obviously, that didn't happen in our reality.
Right.
The Taiping Rebellion, a rebellion in David-occupied southern China orchestrated by a slave named Hong Rincon, who claimed to have received divine revelation from a deity called Mother Dragon. It was suppressed by the Davites following the destruction of the Taiping capital. Whereas, obviously, again, that didn't happen. For us, instead, a Type S event announced by SCP-089, which was resolved by an expeditionary force co-organized by Her Majesty's Foundation for the secure containment of the paranormal and estate noir. So that's just the SCP Foundation thing instead.
Yeah.
The Tumad Massacre, systemic slaughter of about 150,000 ethnic Mongols in David-occupied Mongolia. Reports indicate that said thrall possessed, by a Davite thrall, sorry. Reports indicate said thrall possessed 2 bladed weapons and possessed unspecified regenerative abilities. So in that version of reality, that's what Abel becomes in our version of the reality.
Okay.
Is he was the thrall with the twin blades. And instead it was the Jin Dandao incident. Now, all of that might not have been interesting to a lot of people. I hope it was interesting to you. I know you like history. So.
Yeah.
But the cause and origin of SCP-001 are unknown and cannot be ascertained. Only the O5 Council knows. Only the O5 Council remembers, other than the 13 partial.
Okay.
And so nobody quite remembers why. But it's speculated the majority, if not all, of mankind and or sapient entities will have no recollection of them, even should they be reminded, because of how strong the CK class amnestics were. But
Okay.
I have for you now the catalog of the O5 Council as they write down notes to their successors about the true history.
Okay.
So give me just a moment, because I'm about to sneeze again.
Oh my
Don't want to
gosh.
do that.
Dre. Come on.
All right, so the O5 Council, each one has their own note to their own successor. So again, if you heard me mention earlier that they're all characters in their own right,
Right.
this is where if you know them, it would mean more to you. Or also, if you don't know them, you might get a sense of who each of them are here.
Fair enough.
So O5-1 says, to my successor, as the main editor of SCP-001, I've already written all that you need to know. After 001, only the 13 of us knew of it, and we each stood at the height of our respected precursor organizations. Certainly, we were fated to take command and unite as the Foundation. As you can tell from the votes, there were 2 other alternatives for SCP-001 from our debate at Peking. They were ultimately voted down, but 2 and 12 left their marks on Foundation history. A pity that 12's limited command of the English language mustered a relatively vernacular term as opposed to 2's and mine. Nevertheless, our initiative to speak up for the first O5 meeting will be remembered and honored in almost every SCP article ever penned down. As for the Foundation's mission, I hope you and your colleagues continue our work. And the vote they're talking about there is where they each had a proposal for what reality could be like. They each had, in the final proposal, a term they got to add to reality to change, and you might notice each of the 13 things that I talked about have a correlation to one of the O5 members. So it was each something that they felt really strongly about and wanted to move forward with.
All right.
But I wanted to real quick throw in here, there used to be 13 other foundations, as it were.
Okay.
And each one of them had their own, like, anti-anomalous thing.
Right.
Those don't exist in our new reality because people from each of those is what came to form the Foundation, and they didn't think they needed the old one. So Stuff like the Tsar's Sears, Her Majesty's Foundation.
Almost.
Yeah,
We're not there yet. Spoilers.
pretty much.
Come on, Faith.
Her Majesty's Foundation for the Secure and Containment of the Paranormal, the Special Investigations Board, Council of the Dutch East Indies, the Bureau of Onmyo, just to give you an idea. So, 05-2 says, to my successor. Santayana once said, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Now, the world as a whole cannot remember the past, but does it repeat itself? Yes, it does. During the Second World War, was there not another authoritarian dictator terrorizing Europe, and were the Chinese not massacred again? Of course, the details differ, and America kept itself together throughout the war. Maybe that civil war occurred again in your lifetime, or will occur soon. Or that scaled-down skirmish was it. That still leaves the factory, but it's elusive. The product of anomaly should be an anomaly in itself. 001 in this world are no exceptions. Piece by piece, this world is undoing and repeating itself. For every SCP not, if not minimally, in our control, the process is ongoing. Until then, there will be chaos in the system. Once, I proposed that we guide the world back to its original state, but the others disagreed in favor of establishing tyranny. Ultimately, I acceded. There's no need to fight for my views. Nothing will change the process. No action is needed except to wait. Or in short, Keter. So that was 2. And they're all pretty much like this. 3 says, to my successor, anomaly and normalcy, both are subject to the consensus. Today's anomaly might have been yesterday's normality, and vice versa. The Scandal 9 Uncovered is one such example. Drapetomania is no longer anomalous when the consensus decides it no longer holds water. Apply the consensus onto 001. To the rest of the world, the occult wars do not exist. They exist only to those who know the anomalous. To those who know the anomalous, Occult War 5 does not exist. Only 13 men imagined it to existed, and that could have been 001. However, the Council established our own consensus, and my opinion shifted to that when it was announced. More of us decided that we should establish order over all anomalous matters instead of suggesting that we might be the problem. That would only be the first of the many consensuses reached, where we held influence over the world's conceptions of what is normal and what's not. Perhaps they resulted in the world you've grown up in. Thus, remember these. Consensus has value, and to be normal is to abide by the consensus. So the 05 makes the rules, basically.
Yeah.
And everybody else has to follow them.
Yeah.
So 054 says, to my successor, I'm one of the few who fought in the front lines for both 5th occult wars. Both. The one that didn't happen and the one that did. I was gravely disappointed by the official 5th occult war, which is more accurately a skirmish. Those boxers simply can't compare to the Davites and clockwork worshippers. Even after turning almost every other agency and cult into our enemies, the Wayne Scott Society cannot compare to total war. Perhaps it's the youthful bloodlust in me talking. It's a frequent quirk since 001 happened. You remember, this is the same guy that wanted to wipe out all of reality in the last one with amnestics.
Yeah.
So, not surprised probably now. What you said earlier, or maybe he's just a psychopath.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
You know. It's a frequent quirk since 001 happened, like during Peking when I voted for Two's proposal out of impulse. I didn't care for his strange theory. I only wanted to fight on. So many sacrifices have been made already, and I've made significant sacrifices as well. Retake. They cannot end in quiet days. But now I'm old and quietness will come for me. But you're here to fight on. Make sure that it does not end in quietness. 5 says, you now know what the world was once averted. You now know that the world was once averted from total destruction due to an uncontrolled event. And because it's uncontrolled, we cannot guarantee it can work again, or if it would be in our favor. We should not rely on uncertainties like 001. As a species, we have mastered and stomped on all the beasts and lands of the world respectively. Many crafts are now mastered by man, crafts that were once dreams. The restoration of the world is simply another thing to be mastered. If the world can remind itself, we can do it too. By combining our resources, the magnum opus I envisioned can be reality. It might have been utilized already, or construction still ongoing, but 001 will be irrelevant when it's ready. By our will, mankind rules eternal. I have so many more of these to go. We're on 6 out of 13. We could just move to the next SCP if you feel like you got the feel of it.
Yeah, kind of so. kind of stuff? I think we can.
Because from there we get into, some of them were working for other organizations, and
Right.
and each one references something else, but it's that same idea, right?
Yeah.
So that is the consensus. It's not one of my favorites, but it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I got two options for you here.
Okay.
We can go straight to When Day Breaks, which I know is Remus's favorite. It will probably be the rest of the show,
Okay.
but I think I can make it fit in time.
Okay.
Or we can go to God's Blind Spot, which is much shorter and end a little bit early.
I don't care. Can you read?
I think we can cover When Day Breaks in time.
Okay. I think that's
That'll keep us in our order.
Yeah, but that's also, I know you've been wanting to talk
I have.
about it.
I like When Day Breaks a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so let me set the stage for you here, because the story itself is really good, but yeah, SCP-001, When Day Breaks, is a Apollyon class disaster. Friends have indeed. The sun has gone rogue, and it's a problem. So just keep that in mind as I read here, and everything will fall into place.
Okay.
So this is told from the perspective of and this is SD Locke's proposal, by the way. It's told from the perspective of a researcher that is trying to survive in the new world.
Okay.
And I'm just going to read the main story and then the little blurb from the perspective of the sun that SD Locke wrote. I'm not going to read all the side stories. This is a whole mythos of its own. And so you can have other stories that are in it, some of which stay true to the original canon, some which deviate a little bit. But there's, again, just scooping the surface. You find the access tunnel, hidden with a natural cave a mile off the main road. You don't need the key card. The door is ajar. It smells here. It smells like them. Hopefully they moved on. You've come so far already, you can't turn back now. There's a slick trail that leads from the cave entrance into the depths of the site. If it's blood or something else, you cannot tell. You make a point to avoid it. You're still receiving the distress signal. It only started broadcasting yesterday. Whoever it is, you pray they're still alive. Your footsteps echo through empty corridors. Each footfall sounds for all the world like a dozen, as if you're not treading through the dark alone. Elevator's down, so you take the stairs, ending on floor B5, Keter holding. You pass several empty containment chambers. The horrors they once held are long gone, if you're lucky. The trail takes you to an office branching off the main hall, the source of the signal. The door's cracked open, but stuck. You plant your feet, push with all your might. Something skitters off one of the rooms to your left and around the corner before you can get a good look at it. Your first thought is, dog? It was on the ceiling, though. You take refuge in the room, slam the door behind you. It's dark here. You're safe. You take off your jacket and head wrap. Be ashamed to die from something like hypothermia after all that's happened. The sole operating emergency light rotates in its casing, casting a pale orange glow across the room every other second, as if the room itself had a pulse. There's shelving haphazardly placed beyond the door, a barricade. You scan the room. Soiled clothes, half-eaten food. Despite the presence of an adjoining restroom, there's excrement in a bucket in the corner. A pneumatic chamber on the northern wall would have been delivering consumables to the occupant. The trail terminates in the center of the room, forming a sick puddle. You spot 3 pharmacy bottles. Further inspection reveals them to be various opioids. They're all empty. There's a desk with a computer atop it. Approaching the terminal, you can clearly see the blinking light of the power button. You take a seat and turn it on. Emergency protocol activated. Clearance level safeguards removed. Full access granted. Secure, contain, protect. You hear footsteps just outside the door. Every first step comes down heavy. The second drags behind it. A dark shape blots out the light streaming in through the slit between the floor and the doorway. You tense up, waiting with bated breath, praying it will pass. The deafening thumping of your heart. Is it going to betray your position? The shadow recedes. You breathe a sigh of relief just as the screen comes to life. Just real quick, too, for those that are going, well, that's not word for word how it is. I rewrote the whole thing so we could cover it in time. On screen, you get an automated secure system notification code, and it opens the file. The shadow recedes. SCP-001 cannot be contained. Survivors of the SCP-001 event stationed within secure facilities are to remain in contact with one another. Personnel are encouraged to attempt to reach Site-19 by any means at their disposal. Personnel with knowledge as to the whereabouts of the O5 Council are to relay this information to the Administrator. Survivors attempting to travel outdoors must fully cover their bodies in a protective clothing, preferably several layers. Travel by foot should be limited as much as possible. Cities and man-made structures in general provide the greatest protection. Formerly wooded areas should be circumvented. Travel by air is preferable above all other methods. Personnel exposed to SCP-001 are to be considered lost. Compromised personnel are to be abandoned. Euthanization is not to be attempted. Collective instances of SCP-001-A that are of formidable size are to be avoided at all cost. Conductive electrical weapons have proven partially effective at immobilizing instances and may be used for self-defense. Incendiary weapons work as well. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Testing has revealed that SCP-001-A is relatively safe to consume. This is only to be considered as a last resort in the absence of other options, as SCP-001-A may reconstitute within the digestive system. Only small portions should be consumed at a time to prevent blockage. Personnel stationed at Site-19 are to pursue research concerning off-world colonization. Shuttles must be constructed as to not allow light to penetrate the interior. To those of you with families, or God forbid children, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. You must push on. Do not let their deaths be in vain. We do still have time. Humanity may still have a future. Come to Site-19. We need all the hands we can get. Learn to embrace the darkness, friends. Fear the light. The Administrator. Then we get a description. SCP-001 is the designation given to the Sun. After an event on Redacted, 6.8 billion casualties within the first 24 hours. This event has been categorized as an XK-class solar singularity scenario. The SCP-001 effect does not seem to result from exposure to ultraviolet rays, but rather light in the visual spectrum. The effect is similarly present in moonlight, because it's just reflected sunlight.
Yeah.
Upon contact with visible light produced by the sun, living organization... can you tell I've been reading for a while? Living organisms liquefy at the point of contact, with the effect spreading until the entire organism is converted. Visually, this is reminiscent of melting wax. The time this takes is largely dependent on the level of exposure and the size of the organism. Despite this restructuring, at no point do living organisms perish. Upon completion, these organisms, SCP-001-A, take on a gelatinous consistency. Motile organisms will attempt to orient themselves in a fashion reminiscent of their previous form to varying degrees of success. Flora typically remain physically inert, yet are still capable of photosynthesis and still produce oxygen. Organisms capable of flight lose the capability to do so. Fauna remains sentient and display behavior that parallels their non-anomalous counterparts when not absorbed into a collective instance. Humans retain a modicum of sapience and memory. And so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit based on the stuff that's in there and get right back into the final part of this. The resulting biomass of a collective instance of SCP-001-A is amorphous and chaotic. The component organisms will shift between a full to semi-liquid state. Limbs and bodies will rise periodically from within the mass for a short duration before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Collective instances will locomote by using their appendages in tandem to carry the mass. Larger instances will form pseudopods from their constituent life forms and drag themselves about in a manner similar to amoeba.
That's okay. Yeah.
So this leads us to our first audio log. As our researcher is trying to figure out what happened here. This is Site-19. This is where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
What happened?
Why is everybody amoebas?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is the sun doing this?
Yeah.
We need answers. And so he activates an audio file. We see a doctor Logan Igata. Dr. Logan Igata is one of the few remaining doctors. And she says, due to Site-46's possession of several communicable info hazards, we've been cut off from the rest of the network under blackout protocol. As such, I'll be updating this as we come across new information. On the bright side, we are actually still receiving transmissions from a few sites. Sorry, I need to specify. This is not Site 19. This is Site 46. They want to get to Site 19. Everybody wants to get to Site 19.
Right.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify that. Good number of personnel have made it, it seems. Some are planning to make a break for 19. Some are trying to fight the dash, as some, like us, are simply biding their time. Our site is sealed for the time being. We're not ready for the journey, at least not yet. The dash being dash A, 001-A. She sighs. We've experienced a containment breach a few days ago. One of the higher maintenance humanoids broke loose. He comprised containment on a half dozen Ketters and ran off. They didn't make it more than 5 feet from the tunnels before collapsing in a soup. I watched it play out on the cams. It didn't take long for them to get back up. She strikes a match. Much better. Not exactly a designated smoke area, but who cares, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Not at this point.
Commander Anand suited up and went to town on him the next day. Tried to drive him off. Didn't turn out very well. Poor guy. Did learn a thing or two, at least.
Okay.
There's only a few of us left here. Holed up in one of the offices. Jerry and Director Phillips are somewhere in the barracks. Clyde and a few D-Class locked themselves in the armory with Ari. I really should see how she's doing. Hear the buzz of radio chatter. Hey, hon. How you holding up down there? A voice responds, a man with an exaggerated, mocking tone. Doing just fine, poopsykins. I want you to know I love you bunches. Who? Knock it off and put her on. I need to speak with her. Radio changes hands. Babe, what's wrong? Nothing. Nothing. I just wanted to check in real quick. I'm fine, babe. Really, I can take care of myself. No, I know that. I can't help it, though. I know coming here was never easy for you. With everything going on, Ari interrupts her. Hey, you told me you quit smoking. I did stop.
Yeah. Now's a good time to start again.
Right. I don't think I'm the one you need to worry about, Ari says. I'm staying clean. I haven't even thought of touching amnestics in months, trust me. Anyway, since you were wondering, I'm fine. The guys are sitting around playing cards. I'm tucked in the corner with my notebook. Igata smiles as she jokes back and says, Sweetheart, penning a sonnet about my undying love at a time like this? I'm flattered. Ari responds with a laugh. Says an elegy at the moment. I feel like if I don't keep myself busy doing something, I'll go crazy locked down here. I know what you mean, hon. I'll let you get back to it. I love you. Love you too, babe. Aww. Logan Igata looks back to the camera, which you can't see anything because it's just an audio recording, but
yeah, it
gives her comfort to look back at the camera and feel like someone might be watching and listening. Yeah, should have been together.
Yeah.
And that's all of us. Everyone else was either topside during the event or they were killed in the breach. Director's orders are to stay put. Keep an eye on the cams, both in and around the facility. We got the 001 skips beating at our front door. And God knows what else locked in here with us. We still have electricity. Should for quite some time. The place is stocked with enough supplies to last the site a couple years. We're going to be fine for now. Everything's going to be fine.
I don't think so.
A few days later, there's a change to the file. It is a text file from Logan Igata, who says they've just been sitting out there this entire time, calling out to us, begging for us to come outside. The noise drew in more of them. They're this one mass that I'm sure must have a few dozen people and God knows how many animals rolling around inside it. Screams and bleats and screeches and howls nonstop. The worst ones make this disgusting moaning, like they're actually enjoying it. They're not going to leave so long as we're down here. We managed to talk one of the D-Class into going out, see if he could draw them away. He was surprisingly okay with the plan. All he asked for was a gun in a single round.
I bet he did.
Right. He made it out there, and one got a hold of him, tried to get his mask off. He managed to work the pistol up beneath his chin in time, got it off. Figured he was lucky. Just, if you're someone that's a little bit more squeamish, this might be when you want to say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. After he fell limp, though, it kept working in his suit. Pried off the hood, poured itself inside, began tearing it off of him from within. He came back, started changing, dripping out of the suit, screaming and screaming, screaming. They won't even let us die. The director has a plan. There's an escape tunnel hidden in his office. Tram under the site will take us to a safe house. We should be able to start towards 19 from there. For the first time, Dr. Agata has her camera on. It's been 3 months since the previous revision. She's got a large, wet, red-black blotch on her breast pocket. Her eyes are bloodshot. She draws in a shuddering breath and says, the tunnel flowed in through the ceiling, dragging them into the light and ripping off their clothes. And she reaches into her breast pocket and pulls out a finger. The glint of a wedding ring is visible above the severed portion. She holds it close in cupped hands, runs a thumb across the glimmering band. She sits like this for an eternity, whispering apology after apology, begging forgiveness. She looks up after some time, realizing she's left the camera running, before she places it back in her pocket. She leans forward as if to turn off the camera when the radio crackles to life. Logan? It's Ari. Almost. Her voice has taken on the disgusting, gurgling tone characteristic of the affected. It speaks out again. Where are you? Why can't I get back inside? Are you there? Logan rummages beneath the desk for a moment and produces a handheld radio. Her hands are shaking. The thing implores her. Its inhuman speech curdles her stomach. Babe, it's all right. I'm all right, really. It's a bright, sunny day and you're just wasting away down there. Logan's in tears, her finger hovering just above the call button. Such a beautiful, clear blue sky, just like that day. Do you remember, babe? Logan withdraws a cigarette with her free hand, followed by a pack of matches. Her shaking thwarts the first 2 attempts to light it. She swears. Third time's the charm, and she inhales a quarter of it in a single drag. It was so perfect. Everything was how I'd always dreamt it would be. You planned exquisitely. I've never felt so in love. You even had the band play our song. Golden days in the sunshine of a happy youth. Golden days in our hearts, we remember them above all else. Days of youth and love. Logan begins to cry, rushes out of her chair, and you hear her vomit off screen. The video films the empty seat for several minutes before she returns and ends the feed. A lingering paranoid sensation washes over you. You're being watched. You defensively dart your eyes about, though they take a second to adjust to the darkness beyond the monitor. The emergency light sweeps across the room, and stretching and twisting the shadows beyond recognition. That's when you spot it. There, in the corner. Coming out of the puddle. Time slows to a halt. A pair of hands, coated in the lustrous black slime you followed through the facility, are on either side of the sickening pool, as if something beneath the floor is bracing itself, trying to lift itself up. Something inhuman. The head comes next, rising from the muck. Matted hair conceals its face, plastered over it by the mystery fluid. It turns in your direction. It stares at you from the corner, which once again falls into darkness. The emergency light continues its journey across the room. It washes over the puddle again, revealing nothing out of the ordinary. Right? There's another update on the monitor. You're worried, you're upset, but surely it was just your imagination.
Just my imagination.
Dr. Agata appears in another video. She's lost weight. Her eyes are bloodshot and wide. It's been another month. On the table before her lays a knife, a bowl, a stack of manila envelopes filled with yellowing pages, and a blood-stained parchment on top. Despite the things we have to deal with here at the Foundation, I've always believed we'd be able to maintain control We would hold the darkness at bay, let mankind flourish in the light. Site-19 stopped broadcasting last month. It's been getting harder and harder to find a reason to keep going, especially without... She grabs the knife, contemplating for a moment. I keep going over and again in my mind. The day back in the tunnels, everything that happened. I've gone down there a few times, if only to hear her voice again. But it's wrong. The thing on the other side of the door, it isn't her. Not anymore. It sounds like her. It knows everything she knew, but it's not her. This light, it takes your body. It steals your mind. But what about your soul? With this, she slices into the palm of her left hand and winces. You watch her clench her fist, draining her blood into the bowl. If this works, if I can bring back something the light couldn't reach, I'll post an update here. For now, signing off. We don't know how long before the next update appeared. How long in between it had been. But it's very different. Object class, apologize. Item, hurts. SCP-001 should not be contained. Survivors of the SCP-001 event stationed within secure facilities can never truly be with one another. Personnel are encouraged to get over themselves and stop thinking they know better. You can't hide down here forever, love. Personnel exposed to SCP-001 aren't people you can just abandon. I didn't ask for you to save me. It wasn't your choice to make. Euthanization is not to be attempted. Conductive electrical weapons, why? Have proven partially effective at immobilizing instances. You couldn't stand seeing me better off. Incendiary weapons tickle. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Personnel stationed at Site-19 have no regrets. Neither did I. It's never too late, babe. SCP-001 is the designation given to the sun after we finally became free. The effects are instantaneous, resulting in release from all suffering until you ripped me away. These changes seem scary, I know. Despite this restructuring, at no point will you die. I promise. Due to their composition, instances of 001-A that make contact with another may combine and blend and finally exist. This does not cause any pain. Since the 001 event, most instances have congregated into such collectives which seem to possess no maximum volume. Don't be afraid. The resulting biomass is beautiful. The component organisms will shift in and over and around and through and out and out and out, and limbs and bodies hold, never letting go. Allies before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Sorry, I lost my air for a second. Collective instances will locomote by just trying to get close to you again. Trying so hard. Let me in. Let me go back. There's a video file attached. Opening it, you can see that it presents the room you're in. The feed seems to be coming from one of the security cameras up in the corner of the room. It's dark, but you can just make out Dr. Igata lying on a pile of laundry along the far wall. She's writhing in her sleep. She seems tormented, hurt. She's tossing and turning and mumbling nonsense words. The camera shakes. It lifts upwards for a moment before it focuses on her again. It starts moving closer, slowly. The speakers come to life, picking up an airy, breathy static. As the camera moves closer to the doctor, it becomes clearer, crisper. It's not merely white noise, but dozens, hundreds of voices whispering unintelligently over each other. You lean in, press your ear almost against the speaker, trying to discern what it is that's being said. Something strange stands out amidst the discordance. Are you paying attention? This next bit is just for you. You're not quite sure what to make of it, though. Looking back at the monitor, the camera has come to a halt inches away from the sleeping doctor. The voices stop. There's no sound. A hand, black and oily and skeletal, reaches out for her, brushes away a lock of hair. Her eyes shoot open. She recoils in shock. The feed cuts out. Another video file opens. Of its own volition, you're not opening them anymore.
Sickness must be purged.
Sickness must be purged. Dr. Agata appears before you on the screen, looking even worse for wear than she did previously. Her hair's thinning, large swaths are missing, absent from the middle of her head. If they weren't reflecting the slow glow of the monitor, you would assume she no longer had eyes for how deep they've recessed into her skull. She won't stop. She won't go away. I know I didn't. I know I didn't pick up an info hazard browsing the archives. Tested myself for SCP-8673. Negative. 9819 is the only other one that uses print as a vector. Can't be that. I still have all my fingers. Her lips crack into a broken grin. She lets out a weak laugh and displays her trembling hands. What appears to be the mostly skeletal remains of a finger is embedded into the flesh of her left hand, and a stump that would have supported her natural ring finger. 2 wedding bands loosely encircle the digit, laying atop one another. So, I'm not infected. Oh, was there an ad? I didn't even notice.
I didn't see why.
I was so caught up. I'm sorry. I'm not infected. I'm not crazy. I know the ritual work. I know it's really her. It's her, and she. No, I can't. You're not you. Not the same. No, it's not you anymore. No. A minute passes as she rubs her temples, repeating no over and over again. She snaps her head back up and addresses the camera. It's her, but not. What I brought back, still a part of 01. There's no way out, no way. There's no hope for a future for me, and God, I can't go on like this any longer. I'll be safe here. The light can't reach me. I won't let it take me. She brandishes a handgun. Was planning on using this till I found some leftover meds. Don't want to risk calling attention to myself, to my body. She opens the desk drawer and deposits the firearm. She raises her gaze, stares into the camera. Mom, Dad, Ari, I'm sorry. She reaches forward and ends the recording. You open the drawer and pull out the gun. You absent-mindedly turn it over in your hands for a moment, wondering where you'll go from here. Site 17? 64? Surely you can't be all that's left. The computer dings. There's been an update to the file?
So I will.
Have a good one, Will. Saffron skies raise the blazing sun. A chance encounter. Awkward displays. One day, my love, we'd be as one. With 2 entwined, a set course begun. That frenetic, wild, lustrous haze. Azure skies host the radiant sun. Above us beaming as we run. Down that aisle, a fervent craze. That day, my love, we became as one. With future unfolded, the life we'd won. Commitment and duty from the family we'd raise. Cerulean skies ferry the shimmering sun. Buried, shackled by fate, overrun by ever-growing resentment and malaise. Yesterday, my love, we were as one. Now you lie here, the life in you gone. In the dark outside of her rays, crimson skies bear the torch, our sun. Today, my love, will be as one. Without your prompting, the page begins playing a video file. You freeze when the image loads. It's a live feed, looking down on you from behind, about a foot away. A skeletal, inky left hand enters the frame, approaching you at a snail's pace. It's missing its ring finger. Without a second thought, you turn and fire in a frenzy, hoping to drive off the specter. Your bullets meet an empty wall. There's nothing there. A second passes before you hear it, before you hear them. Sloshing, wet thuds coming down the corridor, accompanied by a chorus of screams. It slams into the door. Could there be a place to hide? It strikes a second time. What appears to be a face, part human, part something, dribbles in under the doorframe. Bits of flesh from God knows what oozes in through the sides and reconstitutes into fingers, eyes, feathers. A third. Now it's pressing up against the wood, causing it to sag inwards. With a groan and a crash, the wood splinters. The door explodes open. Hands and arms stretch out of the mass, pulling you up, passing you from one to the next, on and on down the line. They drag you past the empty containment units, upwards and through the stairwell, through the halls and towards the tunnel. You're afforded a few precious moments in the darkness. And at the end of the tunnel, there is light. And the story ends.
So, the sun turns people into John Carpenter's Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It affects people's loved ones like Pet Cemetery.
Yep.
Don't do that. Not bad. It does. It made me think of some old stories, and like I said, Pet Cemetery and the thing really.
There's more to it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot more that's been added. Stories of specific SCPs in the When Day Breaks world. There's a SCP that is a city called Unlondon that we mentioned that is underground.
Yeah.
And it's their attempt to defend Unlondon. But I want to read one last little excerpt for you. It's only a couple paragraphs.
Okay.
And it is called Heart and Soul. It is oft speculated which of the forms of love is most powerful. One might posit that it is the familial storge, citing the pure love and hope in the heart of a mother, or the righteous pride with which a warrior defends their nation and kin. Another may proffer that it is instead the empathetic agape, owing to the compassion of a godly soul opening their heart to the needy, or the selflessness of an activist championing a cause far greater than themselves. Still others may suggest that it is the committal pragma, on sole account of the continual process of growth and understanding that evolves over the course of a lifetime with one's partner, exuded by those when they deeply know another person so wholly and intimately. Regardless of each type's relative potency, it can be generally agreed upon that love is universally powerful. It is patient. It is dynamic. It is magical. It was with this universal sense of love that Soul basked Earth in her warmth. It was with this patience she tended to the planet, nurturing its life across eons. From the industrious archaea she watched laying the bedrock for complex life forms to the sapient humans with their boundless innovation and creativity. Soul loved it all, no matter its form, with unrivaled intensity. Then there was the hateful. He was another of her kind, older. His domain was blessed in having not just one, but two satellites primed to generate the bounty of life. Unlike Soul, however, the hateful was arrogant and impulsive. None of the life forms of his oceanic Rithlos developed eyes or vision to gaze upon him, so he lashed out, boiling the fledgling ecosystem for this perceived slight. The extremophiles of the frigid Timtis, though capable of complex feats of intelligence and adoption of learned behavior, never progressed to a sufficiently high degree of intellect or reasoning to genuinely appreciate their son's gift. As such, they too were consumed by his malice. The hateful envied Soul, despised her. He looked upon the world she painstakingly cultivated with absolute scorn. Furious and indignant that she should be graced with the complexity and variability of its inhabitants, he raged as its dominant species. Venerations of her presence echoed throughout the cosmos, forever reverberating her praises to their brethren. The hateful then directed his anger toward Earth. He began moving with single-minded determination, emanating contempt and spewing vitriol. Soul became aware of the hateful's intentions as he began his bitter campaign and grew concerned. Though she had known life to be resilient, shrugging off one extinction event after the other, the arrival of the hateful would be an insurmountable catastrophe. The beings she cared for would be obliterated en masse in a nuclear conflagration and die hopelessly screaming. Not even the brightest minds of her world's highest body of research, with knowledge both mystic and mundane, had a solution to the challenge imposed by the hateful. The more prevailing proposals incorporated occult rituals perfected across the millennia of humanity's existence. But for all their influence, they did not possess the power or resources to spark the large-scale reactions necessary for planet-wide protection. Soul knew what had to be done. Brimming with unbridled love, she began to change. Her radiating warmth would act as a bulwark against the destruction threatened by her sibling. Her rays, an outpouring of her adoration of life, would grant those basking in its glory an immunity as unbreakable as the bond she shared with them. As the hateful one ravaged and tore his way through the neighboring galaxies, Soul became bemused by his impotent rampage, reveling in the thought of his arrival. Because once he descends upon Earth, he will discover its population can not only endure his onslaught, but prosper in spite of it. After all, love conquers hate.
Okay. They left out a love.
Yeah.
I'll do that. That was pretty cool. That was a nice little setup to it.
That's why the sun turned all of a sudden, was to protect us all
Yeah.
by turning us into abominations.
Right. Okay.
We don't really have time for another one tonight, but
No.
we got 3.
Yeah.
And for how long these are getting, 3 I feel like is pretty good.
Not bad.
What'd you think?
Not bad. The praise the sun. I don't know. I think that
Oh no, we got 4. Because we did a record, we did past and future, the consensus, and then when day breaks. Nice.
right. I don't know. It seems like I don't want to say too much of a stretch, but it's like trying really, really hard to make everything fit,
Yeah.
and go underneath that, which is cool
Yeah.
because each one has a different canon, right? Go through that. The last one, like I said, when day breaks, just reading through it, that made me think of other things
Yeah.
to go through.
That was just a good story, even if it wasn't an SCP.
Right. Right. Well, that's the interesting thing about it. There's some that are like, yeah, okay. In the whole SCP, right?
Right.
Well, some of that's very cool,
Yeah.
going through.
Would you say that one was your favorite for tonight?
Possibly. I like the record.
Yeah.
I do like that one. Much more simplified than other ones.
Yeah.
But there's something kind of simple and silly about it.
Yeah.
I just kind of like it.
For sure.
Kind of like that one. I think that might be my favorite one.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Planet of Hands. Like that one a lot, past and future.
Yeah.
I cut out a lot to be able to fit that story. There are 9 documents in that attached to that page. Some of them are about the super SCPs. Some of them are about other things that 05-2 tried. Some of them are about meetings with the Dream 990.
Yeah.
They're very horrifying once you realize that it's an alien invasive species that there's nothing we can do to stop.
Right.
I really like that one. And then there's a lot of, I mentioned earlier, really good side stories to Wooden Day Breaks. Some of them, as I mentioned, don't follow all the rules.
Yeah.
There's one where Abel breaks free, because Abel breaks free once every so many days.
Yeah.
Breaks free during it, and he recognizes immediately what's going on, but he still wants to kill people, which that doesn't line up with, Abel in the SCP Foundation, like universe, is a mindless killer for the most part, because he's angry.
Right.
But in every other like XK class scenario, he stops doing that. So it feels weird that he still just wants to kill people. And then he and Dr. Bright have a fight outside at night.
Okay.
And they're fine because it's night.
Yeah.
But When Day Breaks tells us that night is not okay either because it's a reflection of the sun coming from moonlight,
Yeah.
So it just feels feels like they wanted to have a cool fight between Dr. Bright and Abel.
Sounds like it, yeah.
But there's some really good ones. 682, the hard to destroy reptile, laughing and saying finally when the sun turns because he hates humanity.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really good side stories in there. But
Yeah.
we'd be here forever if we were covering all those. So
Right.
I think you'll really like the one that we'll start with next time, unless we do Ouroboros next time. I think you'd like that one too. But God's Blind Spot is a really interesting one, idea-wise.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we don't really have time to cover it now, so we should probably stop.
All right. Good deal.
Hopefully you enjoyed that chat. I know that some of them get a little wordy and they get a little complicated, but I think there's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's going to get a lot easier to go through once we get done with the 001 proposals, because then there'll be simple stuff like, hey, it's a coffee machine,
Yeah. All right.
But okay, we'll be back tomorrow with Liza P doing another long stream, trying to get that done. Monday with Immo Mondays.
Yeah.
We're making our way through Rohan.
Yeah.
getting into some big Rohan stuff.
Yes.
I got to do some more there. Tuesday, we will have the regular podcast. Wednesday, you didn't finish Relicta yet.
No.
So you'll be playing Relicta.
Yes.
And next Thursday's Thanksgiving, right? So
Yeah.
next Thursday, we won't have a stream. But the Thursday after that, we'll be back.
Yeah.
So what are we covering on that Thursday?
Yeah.
Did we say Laos? Or did we want to...
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
Okay, I thought that's what we said.
Yes.
Laos. It's not going to be a mukbang. But, yeah, we got some cool stuff coming. As a reminder, we're not taking that vacation, so we're still going to be streaming after the week of Thanksgiving. But no, I'm excited. I got... It's going to be a fun couple weeks for us, I think. So.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to say, sir, before we close?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thanks, everybody, coming out. A mythology of yes, yeah.
Don't. Yeah. Well, I'll get roundabout to it.
Until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
And this has been the Full Spectrum TTRPG podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that SCPs have to offer.